Panama and the vital canal linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The new president has repeatedly said that the U.S. should take back control of the waterway.
President Trump saying repurchasing the canal is vital for our national security.
Trump is claiming that Panama has broken a promise to remain neutral, alleging that China is operating the canal.
Panama's promise to us has been broken, and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships.
The Panama Canal, the lifeline of global trade, has just been shut down by the USA, an event no one saw coming.
Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
This isn't some minor hiccup. The canal moves goods worth billions every single day, keeping the world economy spinning. But now a strange event has thrown everything into chaos, leaving ships stranded and nations scrambling for answers. Could it be something so dangerous, so unexpected, that even the US had no choice but to act? Tune in as we uncover the shocking truth behind this monumental decision that will start a war between the US and China. Ancient structures found beneath the waterway. It began as a regular day for the Panama Canal Authority, with ships lining up to pass through the locks. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. Reports started trickling in about strange vibrations in the locks. At first, no one thought much of it. Maybe it was just a glitch, something a quick repair could fix. But as the hours passed, things took a sharp turn for the worse. Engineers scrambled to figure out what was going on, deploying underwater drones to check the canal's foundations. What they found wasn't just a minor issue. It was a full-blown crisis. Hairline cracks had appeared in critical sections of the infrastructure, cracks that could spell disaster if not addressed immediately. Before we delve into this, it's clear that what the underwater drones uncovered is far more alarming than anyone expected, and this is only the beginning of what will shock you. At first, the cracks looked like the kind of wear and tear you'd expect from a structure that's been around for over 100 years. But then the experts got involved, and their findings were chilling. These weren't just any cracks. Geologists suspected they were tied to a hidden tectonic fault line running right under the canal. If they were right, the stakes were unimaginable. A rupture could not only cripple the canal, but also send shockwaves through the global economy, already stretched thin by other crises. The Panama Canal is more than just a waterway. It's a lifeline for international trade. Shutting it down, even temporarily, could throw supply chains into complete disarray. As the news spread, governments and corporations started paying attention and panicking. The United States, which handed control of the canal to Panama back in 1999, but still has huge interest in its operation, jumped into action. They sent in teams from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to help assess the damage and come up with emergency plans. The idea was to work together with Panama to stabilize this vital piece of global infrastructure. But behind the scenes, you've got to wonder, was this really just about fixing the canal? Or was there something bigger at play? While all this was happening, rumors started flying. Could the cracks force ships to detour around South America's Cape Horn, adding weeks to their paths? Could the global economy handle yet another massive disruption? People were glued to the news, and the pressure on the Panama Canal Authority was mounting. They had to reassure everyone, from shipping companies to everyday citizens, that they had the situation under control. But the reality was they were dealing with something they'd never faced before. And then things got even stranger. While investigating the cracks, researchers stumbled upon something no one expected. Using high-tech sonar equipment, they discovered submerged structures beneath the canal. At first, they thought these were just natural formations, but a closer look revealed something shocking. These weren't natural at all. They were remnants of an ancient civilization, complete with intricate designs and engineering techniques that seem way ahead of their time. Some of the structures looked like pathways, while others resembled foundations for buildings. What was this place, and how had it remained hidden for so long? Archaeologists were brought in, but their work was complicated by the canal's operational demands. Still, they managed to gather enough evidence to piece together a fascinating story. It seemed that the area's strategic importance had been recognized centuries, maybe even millennia, before the canal was built. Some experts theorized that the ancient civilization had even attempted to create their own water management system. If true, this would rewrite everything we thought we knew about the region's history. Of course, discoveries like this don't happen without controversy. Some people speculated that the US government knew about these structures all along and had been keeping them under wraps. After all, the timing of their intervention was pretty convenient. Others wondered if this ancient site could somehow be connected to the cracks in the canal. Could the engineering marvel of the past have inadvertently weakened the foundation for one of today's most critical infrastructures? The questions kept piling up, and the answers weren't coming fast enough. Just as work began to fix the cracks, something unexpected was found underwater, pulling everyone's attention. The global trade crisis nobody expected. Meanwhile, the practical challenges of dealing with the cracks were enormous. Repairing the canal's foundations was no small task. It required specialized equipment, massive amounts of funding, and coordination on a global scale. Shipping companies were already feeling the pinch as delays started to ripple through supply chains. Some goods that would normally take days to transport were now taking weeks. The cost of these delays wasn't just financial. It also had real-world impacts on industries and consumers around the globe. As the U.S. and Panama worked together to stabilize the canal, public interest in the ancient structures only grew. High-resolution images of the site showed paved pathways, tools embedded in sediment, and even remnants of what appeared to be walls or foundations. Theories about the civilization that built them ranged from the plausible to the downright wild. Some believed these were the works of advanced pre-Columbian cultures, while others pointed to legends of lost civilizations in Central America. Whatever the truth, one thing was clear. This discovery was going to change the way we think about history. But here's the thing. While the world was busy debating ancient history, the cracks in the canal weren't going anywhere. The tectonic fault line, if that's what it was, posed a looming threat. Engineers were racing against time to shore up the canal's defenses, but the task was monumental. If the worst happened, the fallout would be catastrophic. Global trade would grind to a halt, and the economic impact would be felt in every corner of the world. Joe Rogan's famous comment about history being buried under layers of time hits differently when you look at the Panama Canal's recent challenges. Here we are, dealing with cracks in a canal that carries the weight of global trade while also uncovering hidden treasures buried beneath. It's not just about fixing a waterway anymore. It's about balancing modern needs with ancient revelations. The Panama Canal, one of the world's most important trade routes, now stands at the intersection of engineering crises and newfound wealth. And things are looking a little too complicated for comfort. Before we dive deeper, it's clear this story will shake up more than just shipping routes. Take a look at the fractures spreading across the canal's walls. Engineers aren't just worried, they're sounding the alarm. Even a small earthquake could turn those cracks into something catastrophic. Think about what happened with the Oroville Dam collapse in 2017. One small issue turned into a near disaster that displaced hundreds of thousands. With 12,000 ships passing through the canal every year, a failure here would be a global disaster. Rerouting around South America's Cape Horn, that adds weeks to shipping times, throws supply chains into chaos, and leaves industries scrambling for solutions. The stakes are massive. We're talking about oil, grain, electronics, the essentials of modern life. If the canal fails, it's not just Panama's problem, it's the world's. Governments and markets are already on edge. The Panama Canal Authority is racing against time, trying out advanced tech to patch things up. But then there's the rainy season, creeping in like an unwelcome guest, threatening to make those fractures worse. Add a newly discovered fault line into the mix, and you've got a perfect storm of problems. The world is watching because this canal isn't just a waterway, it's a lifeline. But here's where things get even messier. Deep below the surface, investigators found rare minerals like lithium and cobalt. These aren't just any materials. They're the backbone of modern tech, from smartphones to electric cars. Suddenly, this isn't just an engineering problem, it's a geopolitical flashpoint. The United States is framing its involvement as infrastructure-focused, but let's not kid ourselves. Critics are quick to point out that securing access to these resources might be the real game here. And guess who's also interested? Yep, China. Environmentalists, meanwhile, are waving their red flags, warning that mining could destroy the canal's delicate ecosystem. It's a tug-of-war between preserving nature and cashing in on newfound riches. Does this remind you of something? Think back to the Suez Canal crisis in the 1950s. Back then, Egypt's decision to nationalize the canal sparked international chaos. Britain, France, and Israel jumped in, all trying to secure their piece of the pie. Fast forward to today, and the Panama Canal is playing a similar role. The United States is stepping in, not just to fix cracks, but to maintain its grip on a critical trade route. They handed over control of the canal to Panama in 1999. But let's be real, their interests never really left. As the cracks were being repaired, bigger problems started to show, raising concerns about the canal's future. The fight to keep the canal open. This isn't just about trade, it's about power. Central and South America's economies are growing, and the canal is a key player in global supply chains. If it fails, the ripple effects will hit every corner of the world. By stabilizing the canal, the United States isn't just protecting commerce. It's countering potential rivals like China, which has been pouring money into Latin America. Whoever controls the canal doesn't just control a waterway. They hold a chess piece in the game of global politics. The Panama Canal is facing challenges that are impossible to ignore. Let's get straight to the heart of it. Millions of gallons of fresh water are drained into the ocean every time a ship passes through its locks. Think about what that means for nearby lakes like Gatun and Alajuela, which already serve as lifelines for local communities, wildlife, and the canal itself. Scientists have been sounding alarms about the water levels in these lakes dropping at alarming rates. And it's not just nature's doing. Climate change, deforestation, and a growing demand for water are making things worse. Now here's the kicker. Prolonged dry seasons and unpredictable rainfall are pushing the canal's ecosystem to the brink. Experts are warning of a tipping point where these lakes might not have enough water to keep the canal running. Can you imagine the chaos if global trade gets thrown off balance because of this? And let's not forget what's at stake for the region's biodiversity and the livelihoods of people who depend on these water systems. Repairs are critical, but every effort to fix the infrastructure risks upsetting an already fragile balance. This isn't just an engineering problem, it's an ecological crisis that could have ripple effects far beyond Central America. The debates are heated. Engineers are exploring options like recycling the water used in the locks or designing systems that depend less on fresh water. Some are looking to the Suez Canal's saltwater setup for inspiration. Others are urging aggressive reforestation and better management of the region's watersheds to stabilize the water cycle. Environmentalists, meanwhile, are hammering home one point. If you only focus on keeping the canal running without addressing its environmental impact, you're just kicking the can down the road. The future of the canal is tied directly to the health of its surroundings, and ignoring that fact could lead to bigger disasters. And then there's another layer of unease, strange and unsettling phenomena in the canal's waters. Fishermen have reported seeing whirlpools suddenly forming, disrupting their routines. Others have described eerie, low-pitched sounds coming from below the water, vibrations that feel almost unnatural. Could these be signs of tectonic activity? Geologists think so. Studies suggest there might be a fault line beneath the canal causing underwater pressure anomalies and microseismic events. If that's true, the canal's already strained infrastructure could be at even greater risk. Repairing walls and maintaining safe navigation might become an uphill battle. The local community is uneasy, and for good reason. Some fear earthquakes or underwater landslides might be around the corner. Others weave these phenomena into long-standing regional folklore about hidden forces beneath the isthmus. But for scientists, these anomalies are a problem worth solving. Confirming a connection to tectonic activity could lead to better strategies for dealing with these risks. At the same time, it's a stark reminder of how human-made structures are always at the mercy of nature's unpredictable power. The global implications of this crisis are staggering. The Panama Canal is a vital artery for international trade, facilitating the transit of over 12,000 vessels every year. Even a short-term disruption could cost the global economy billions of dollars. Imagine ships being forced to detour around South America's Cape Horn, adding weeks to their paths and driving up fuel costs. It's a logistical nightmare waiting to happen. And yet the world depends on this canal remaining operational, no matter how fragile its foundations may seem. What's the path forward? It's clear that the solution isn't just about quick fixes or patching up cracks. It's about rethinking the entire system. Can innovative technologies and sustainable practices make the canal a model for balancing human needs with environmental responsibility? Or will it crumble under the weight of its own importance, becoming a cautionary tale for future generations? The stakes couldn't be higher, and every decision made now will shape the future of global trade and the environment. Each day, the problems around the Panama Canal grew, connecting its struggles to bigger issues that the world couldn't afford to ignore. The fragile backbone of global trade. When you think about the world's biggest trade routes, the Panama Canal is like that one Jenga block holding up a tower. If it wobbles, everyone feels it. Remember when that massive ship got stuck in the Suez Canal back in 2021? It caused chaos for nearly a week, delaying billions of dollars worth of goods and sending ripples through global supply chains. Now imagine if something similar happened to the Panama Canal. Experts say the fallout would be even bigger, especially since this canal connects major markets in Asia, the Americas, and Europe. The industries relying on just-in-time deliveries, think electronics, cars, and your favorite gadgets, would take the hardest hit. This whole situation shines a spotlight on just how fragile global trade really is. A single hiccup can mess up shipments, drive up prices, and leave shelves empty. It's a wake-up call for businesses to rethink their game plan. Diversifying trade routes and strengthening supply chains isn't just a nice idea anymore. It's a necessity. And while we're at it, let's not forget the other big waterways like the Suez Canal or the Strait of Malacca. Each one faces its own unique challenges, but none seem immune to disruption. Is it time to rethink how much we depend on these arteries of global commerce? Comparing the Panama Canal to the Suez is like comparing apples and oranges. Both are critical to global trade, but their problems are completely different. The Suez has been a geopolitical hotbed for decades. Remember the Suez Crisis in 1956? That wasn't just about a waterway. It was about power, control, and international diplomacy. The Panama Canal, on the other hand, faces a more modern set of headaches. Aging infrastructure, water shortages caused by climate change, and the discovery of a nearby tectonic fault are just a few of the issues keeping engineers up at night. These problems aren't about military conflict, but about how to make the canal resilient in a changing world. Could these challenges eventually outpace our ability to fix them? Let's not overlook the Strait of Malacca while we're at it. This waterway is a lifeline for vessels moving between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. But unlike the Panama Canal, its vulnerabilities come from piracy, overcrowding, and regional tensions in Southeast Asia. The Panama Canal's risks are different. Structural wear and environmental pressures demand innovative engineering rather than more security guards. Each of these trade routes faces its own brand of trouble, shaped by geography, history, and the shifting tides of global politics. So what's next for these vital pathways? Are we putting too much trust in systems that might not keep up? The story doesn't end there. Technology has stepped in to help monitor and manage these massive waterways. The Panama Canal now uses advanced monitoring systems driven by artificial intelligence to predict weak spots and flag potential failures. Sounds futuristic, right? But even with all this tech, there's one thing it can't predict: tectonic shifts. The discovery of a fault line near the canal raises a big red flag. If the ground decides to move, no amount of early warning systems can stop it. Are we truly ready for the day when nature throws something at us that even our smartest tools can't handle? Meanwhile, repairs and upgrades continue, but they come with a hefty price tag. The United States has called for international collaboration to protect critical trade routes like the Panama Canal. It's a reminder that these waterways don't just belong to one country. Their impact is global. On a podcast recently, someone posed an interesting question. Are we preparing enough for a future where our infrastructure might not meet the planet's growing demands? It's a question worth asking, especially as climate change and shifting economic dynamics reshape the landscape. Could we be missing the bigger picture here? What's fascinating about the Panama Canal is how it brings together human history, cutting-edge technology, and the raw power of nature. Beneath its waters, researchers have made discoveries that hint at untold stories and hidden resources. But with every new finding, there's a looming question. Are we uncovering treasures or threats? As the world digs deeper into what lies beneath this iconic waterway, one thing is certain. This story is far from over. Are we ready for what's next? Did the USA shut down the Panama Canal to protect global trade? Or is there something far bigger and more dangerous they don't want us to know? Could this be a move that changes everything we thought we understood? Tell us what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.